Hello and welcome to this week's episode for the love of retro. Now this week we have for you two wonderful reviews of new retro games, Sword of Iana for the ZX Spectrum and Faster for the Atari ST series of computers. In our MS-DOS Vault, we review the amazing Dungeon Hack and the equally spectacular Acronia. In our hardware section, we will play and enjoy the AVG card for the Atari 8-bit series of computers. Finally, in our history lesson, we look back into the wonderful and tragic story of the greatest video game console inventor of all time, Gunpei Yokoi. So join us in another journey with our time machine in the wonderful world of video gaming of yesteryear, for the love of retro. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to this week's new retro software reviews. And we begin with the Sword of Iana. This is a game by RetroWorks. As they define themselves, it's a group of friends who create games for vintage systems and distribute them freely for everyone to enjoy. Now, this game comes in three versions: the ZX Spectrum, the MSX2, and the PC version. But we are reviewing here the ZX Spectrum. We begin with a story, and it's a classic one. Our ancestors defeated evil, evil rises again. Now, the game resembles Flashback and Another World and Prince of Persia, those classic games, especially the movement that is reminiscent of the rotoscopic method. The animation, of course, because of that, is excellent. We get to hang from cliffs on the edge there. The controls take a little bit getting used to, just a little bit. If you played the games I mentioned earlier, you won't be having any problems. We have a sword to fight and defend ourselves with. Much of the environment is destructible. Let's jump over these spikes. Here, we can destroy this and receive, I kind of wasted it here, but just to show you, that bread was health refill. Now, combat begins once we switch to sword mode, and there we have a couple of moves in our arsenal. What's interesting is that downstairs we don't see just our health, but also the enemy's health and how much strikes are needed. Let's jump over this in order to defeat them. Now, the game follows physics. You saw that my energy plummeted here because I fell down to this hole. This is something I'm gonna pay dearly now. Let's see if we can defeat this little fellow. And, well, we couldn't. Let's do this again and see. This time I won't take the fall. I'll climb down carefully as to avoid losing health. There. You can see downstairs, down at the right, the energy and the hits needed. Now it's 6 hits. 5, 4, 3. The hits needed to defeat the enemy. And there is history. There are plenty of health pickups along the way. So if we plan our moves really carefully and our acrobatics, there is a concealed trap here down at the river. Let's jump over it. There. We wouldn't have any problems. Usually when we stand in a straight line from an enemy, even if there is a wall between us, he gets alerted. Now, like I said before, there are many areas in the environment that we can destroy to reveal a new path. Now, there are environmental puzzles to solve, nothing overly complicated, but it spices up things. It's a good thing that they divided the combat mode with the running and jumping mode, because it makes it much easier for us. This one pushed me back. Thankfully it wasn't that high. And his history. Now this is another concealed path there. Now the graphics are very good. Very good. As you can see, there's little to no color clash. This is it's becoming more and more common nowadays, as people now know how to handle the Spectrum hardware better than back in the day, but it's still impressive because we can see what the Spectrum was really capable of. The music is very good, and the sound effects. The controls are tight. No foul play here. Collision detection is very, very good and fair. You just have to time your jumps and your moves right there. I don't know what this handle does. I guess something opens up along the way, but not this door. The game comes in a variation of formats for the Spectrum, a +3 disc version, a Dandonator. The colors are great, the graphics, like I said, excellent. Of course, the animation using this technique is wonderful. It's a great game for the ZX Spectrum with great deep gameplay, and it's very well made. It really shows what the machine can do, or what the machine could do back in the day. I believe it's one of the better efforts out there for the ZX Spectrum, and I can't recommend it enough. It's wonderful. The Sword of Iana. I definitely suggest you give it a playthrough. You won't regret it. And let's move on to our next game of the week, by Jonathan Thomas, Faster, for the STE line of computers. Now, you all know the old disagreement with Amiga fans, that Amiga could do a lot of stuff, especially those fast games that ST and STE range of computers couldn't. Well, if you still have a friend, I must warn you here, I'm quite terrible in racing games, so get ready for a lot of crashes. I'm really horrible at them. There. Now, as you can see, you could fool anyone that this is, I don't know, a Sega Mega Drive or an Amiga 1200 game. but it's actually running on a Mega STE. You do need at least 2 megabytes of memory to run this smoothly. We run it here with 4 megabytes on a Mega STE. But still, it's very impressive, the speed of the animation, the scrolling. Well, it's something amazing. Also, the color palette is 30 plus colors. The sprites are big and animated excellently. The game is running at 50 frames per second. This is lightning fast for an Atari ST. And it only goes to make me look even worse in racing games. Dear, oh dear. I don't know why. I play all sorts of games, but I'm terrible at racing games. Well, beyond terrible. But believe me, I'm a pretty good driver in real life. There is a full day and night cycle that changes as we drive along the way. The game is not hard. There's not a big variety of gameplay. It's actually like an arcade game. You run until you reach the time extended line. You get a bonus time up on the clock and you keep on racing. It does seem sometimes like a tech demo, but it's quite fun to play if you're good at racing games. And I would go as far as to call it a technical marvel for the Atari line of computers. Granted that, well, they were always left behind compared to the Amiga. But obviously it's another one of those cases that the programmers didn't really know how to use the technology inside the machine to its full extent. It's a fun arcade game. It's a spectacular game. Granted that it's running on an Atari Mega STE. And it could help you put to rest those old rivalries that Amiga can do, stuff that Atari cannot. I believe if you love racing games, you will enjoy this one. So, try it out. You'll have fun. Let's move to our next section. Hello and welcome to this week's hardware review. Now this week we have for you what I consider one of the best cartridges for the 8-bit computers. It's the AVG card for the Atari 8-bit series of computers. Now this is a professionally printed, well-made cartridge. As you can see, it's very well built. We have the SD card and 2 buttons that we're going to talk about them later on. There's also an SIO port cable here, although we must mention that initially this is not connected to the board. It's not ready to use, but if you follow simple instructions from the cartridge's website, you can make it on your own. Now, the SD card must be formatted to FAT32 if it is over 32 gigabytes. Otherwise, plain old FAT partition will do the job. Let's plug it in our Atari. It goes to the classic cartridge slot right here. Bit. And I will turn on my 130XE and go see how it functions. Let's go. Now we turn on our system and the main menu screen greets us. As you can see, the structure is plain simple. I've chosen to divide everything by letters, alphabetically. You can use the keyboard or your joystick, which is really convenient, to go to any of the letters you wish. Now, we choose with the fire button the letter. We can go up and down with the joystick, or we can go left, right to skip a page, as you can see. There, skip ahead. Let's choose a classic game, let's say Frogger. Yes, and we press fire. And you're good to go. Go start. I haven't played this game, oh god, in a long time. Well done. Now, if you want to go back to the main menu, you have to push the right button once, the left button once. The game seems to freezes. Then you push reset on the Atari. So left button and then reset, and we go back to the main menu. And you can choose another game. I don't know, Fuse. Not so sure what Fuse is. Picked up a pretty ancient game. Well, one should have boundaries. Well, yeah, quite primitive. Now, pushing the right button and reset will get us to this menu. What does the right button does? The right button is a compatibility button. Let's call it like this. It is, to begin with, you can reinitialize a card image that you have loaded, in case it's a multi-card. Also, it can disable, as the web page calls it, the card for cards that are smaller than 16 kilobytes to make some CS turbo cards work. Now, the cartridge can run a variety of files. Let's check out the menu here to show you. There is disk files like this. It's the ATR type of files, whilst most of the games I have here are the XEX type of files. Also, it can run, of course, the CAR from a cartridge type of files. The cartridge is extremely easy to use. It's a very good cartridge. It won't set you back a lot. It also has the ability to load CAS and Turbo CAS files, cassette files, let's call them. But you do have to make the aforementioned patent with the SIO cable in order to make it work. Let's choose another game. Really, it's... I keep picking up the primitives. Anyway, as you can see, it's very easy to use. The response in the loading times is extremely fast, as is the reset back to the main menu. Now let's say a few more words about it. Now, we must mention here that there is another function you can have with the AVG card. You can turn the SD card into a hard drive, essentially, for your Atari computer, accessible straight from the Atari operating system. Of course, you'll have to divide them into smaller partitions so that it will satisfy all the prerequisites for the operating system, but it's pretty amazing considering the age of the computer and its original abilities. Like I said, it's a very well made cartridge. It's solidly built. It's not too expensive. It's not going to set you back a lot, but I definitely recommend buying it if you wish to have an easier, more accessible way to play with your Atari game collection. And I will see you with these words next week. Hello and welcome to this week's MS-DOS Vault. Today we're reviewing Dreamforge Entertainment's Dungeon Hack, a game by Dreamforge and published by the legendary SSI. Now this is a dungeon crawler, a single-player dungeon crawler, but it's kind of unique in its generation, because it combines the characteristics of a classic RPG in the style of Eye of the Beholder or Lands of Lore, but at the same time all the characteristics of a roguelite game. Now we get to choose one of the pre-made characters or create our own. The game, as a roguelike, has the unique feature of presenting us with an entirely different series of dungeons, randomly and procedurally generated each time we start a new game. And that was pretty unique for those days, back in 1993, that the game came out. And here we go. The menu, as you can see, the movement keys, the compass. Oh, here's a baddie early on. It's the classic Eye of the Beholder style. We have our character's inventory, his characteristics, the map, the mini-map. We move with the classic way, the grid type of movement. We have the armor, the weapons. As you can see, the classic RPG characteristics. We have 2 meters, hit points and food. This is impossible, and we move this way. There's a key. The menu and the user interface is really, really simple. There's a spell. Everything we pick up or touch is being described. The combat system is the classic Eye of the Beholder or Dungeon Master if you're more of a purist, although it contains all the enhancement that the Eye of the Beholder series of games brought to the genre. Alright, I don't think I have a key for that, but let's try it anyway. Nope, it won't fit. Now, the mini-map is updated as we move. The game is, it ranges from fairly easy to really hard, depending on the level you picked. I picked the easy one to, to play enough to show you what it's all about. The classic buttons on the walls. As you can see on this level and this early on, it's really, really easy to kill the enemies with minimum risk. There are environmental hazards, traps, puzzles, not overly sophisticated, but still. Alright. The enemies drop various items sometimes when we kill them. There's the key. Well, there's a key. Key of faith. And a silver coin. Now, where did the other guy go? You can see down on the minimap, red dots represent enemy presence. Oh, let me get rid of this body here. The graphics are well made. They're in the eye of the beholder. I don't know what to do with this niche. They're on the eye of the beholder style. They're more polished, I would say. There, that fits. They're well animated. The sound effects are really good. Okay. This is a cloak. Not the best for my character. This is a pack of rations here. You have to watch your food meter because it really matters in this game, especially when you dwell deeper into the dungeons. Anywhere we can touch, we get a description or a reply. The game is easy to play, easy to pick up. It has this unique feature that each time you start a new game, everything is different. I'll say, I hope it doesn't exist. Well, there is an option to see beyond the minimap down on the left corner here, a full screen minimap, like a millimeter paper, where you can print the map on your printer or save him to disk. These are very good characteristics considering when the game came out. Now, you can rest, pray for spells or memorize spells. My character is a fighter, I don't have these abilities. The usual save and restore abilities. Let's save this one. Let's see another character here. When you finish, die, or quit a game, you get statistics. The total experience points you've earned, how many creatures you killed. Now let's create a new character just to show you the system. It's the classic SSI and Eye of the Beholder style system. You get some points to distribute. Because the game is fully customizable, you can max out almost any characteristic if you want, but that would make the game, well, ridiculously easy, of course. Let's choose male, human. Of course, he's a paladin, can only be lawful good. The classic portraits, a name, and you're good to go. It's a single character game, as opposed to the other games of those days. Most of them featured a team of 4, usually. It does take some time to load a new stage, but that's because it creates new dungeons, randomly generated dungeons. Now, as you can see, there's an entirely new environment in this game. New graphics, new areas. Now my character can cast spells. Let's see the system. You can choose, depending on your levels, an amount of spells for each level. Let's choose some here. And this one. And this one. There's no difference in the way you do things in most RPG games of those days. It's really simple. It follows the rules and mechanics of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition. There is a permadeath condition because it's a roguelike, just as much as it is a classic RPG. And let's go. Let's prepare spell. Oh yeah, this one. This one requires to have a free hand in order to receive the spiritual hammer. Oh, cause serious wounds. There we go. Now let's find an enemy. Alright. There he is. Well, goodbye, mate. It's a great game if you want to relive those glory days of the classic RPGs. I definitely recommend it. It's pure fun, and the fact that it's a new dungeon, a new place every time you start the game adds to the fun. It's not the best game in the series, but it is quite unique in what it does. And I think that it is one of the best experiences of those days, and a bit underrated at its time. I definitely recommend it. You're gonna have lots of fun with it. And let's move on to our next game of the week, which is a remake called Acronia from Hadrosaurus Software. Now this is not the full version. It is a demo. The full game is not ready yet, but because it's really promising, I decided to review it. It is a game that's a bit reminiscent of the classic Commander Keen games. It's an action platformer. Let me get my keys in line here, because I did not read the manual. Oh, there you go. Now, as I said, it reminds me of the classic Commander Keen games, and a bit of some more modern games. Like, what was it called that? It'll get back to me. Now, we have a variety of abilities. We can shoot, we have a special ability, we can jump, we can hang on from the edge of platforms. There you go. Oh, we need a red key card here. The controls are simple, it's just that the characters are a bit slippery in their walk. Of course, again, this is a work in progress. This is a demo. I believe those things will get polished in the final product. I think I can, yeah. You have to calculate the height of the enemies before you shoot them. Yeah, that's better. Running and jumping is fairly simple. Now, there is another unique feature I'll show you later on. The sound effects and the music is very good. I did remember the game that it reminds me of. It's Broforce. It does remind me a bit of Broforce. Well, without the destructible environments, but the whole feeling of it. What happened? Some creature turned off the lights. Damn. I'll find it. I'll find it. A grenade. Yes, we have the ability to throw grenades, so I think that's how we're gonna solve this. Let me get the key. The game is fast, it's fun. It has the classic VGA graphics that you would expect in that day. There, I'm out and the lights are on again. Let's go back, although I'm not sure how to open that door. Yeah. So I said the game has a unique character, that's why it kind of reminds me of Broforce and Alien Infestation. You get to choose amongst a variety of characters on the fly. Each one has a different special ability, a different weapon, And he is, in general, slightly different in his behavior than the other ones. Laser pistol. The special weapons you receive have a specific amount of ammunition. Once you waste them, the game reverts back to your character's standard weapon, that, as I said, is different for its character. Oops, that was a very clumsy jump on my behalf. My bad. I have no problems with collision detection. The game is fair. Like I said, the only thing that kind of bothers me is that the characters move a bit slippery, like they're on ice. But like I said, it's not a final product. I do have the red key now that I think of it. That blackout in the room confused me. This character's special ability is to punch people in the face. We have this guy with a minigun. She has a rifle, straight shooting, and this lightning or electrocution, I don't know, has a special ability. Buddy here has a magnum pistol, and he throws knives. I like the fact that this guy's a dad, my kind of guy. He is the tough guy of the company, this Harry. Ellie with just a plain pistol, and Roslyn, the character we begin with. Right, let me go back. As I said, I have the red keycard. It's not necessary in its states to have all the keycards in order to proceed. Usually you need just the right one to open the door to the next level. The rest of the doors sometimes are not necessary, but they do hide bonuses. There, let's pick up those discs and the blue key card. Oh, and these bonuses, which is necessary to exit this stage. It's a well-made game. It does remind me a lot of the classic DOS platform games. There, we're done with the first stage. Like I said, it's still in demo. It's not complete, but I believe it will be soon. It's excellent, and I truly recommend it. You can donate to the creators. The game is distributed freely, but you can donate to help them further the development, and I do believe it's worth it. Go check it out, have some fun with it, support the developers, and I will see you again next week for more MS-DOS goodies. And let's move to our next section. Hello and welcome to this week's history lesson. This week we're going to talk about the legendary Gunpei Yokoi, for some people the godfather of video games. Now, Gunpei Yokoi started his career while working in maintenance at some storehouse for Nintendo. It was one day back in 1966 when Hiroshi Yamauchi, the legendary president of Nintendo, passed through that warehouse and saw him playing with a contraption he had created, an extending arm that he made just for fun to amuse himself. Now, Hiroshi Yamauchi found it an excellent idea and ordered him to create it, to remake it into a commercial product. Now, the Ultra Hand, as it was called, it was a humongous success in Japan. I know, these Japanese are kind of weird. Now, that was the breakthrough that Gunpei Yokoi needed to move from warehouse work into the headquarters of Nintendo. Now, in due time, Gunpei Yokoi created many more amazing things, such as the legendary Game & Watch, and, of course, maybe his most important creation was Game Boy, the first truly portable gaming system with interchangeable cartridges. Now, Game Boy was a massive success, as you all know, beating out of the market Atari Lynx, Sega Game Gear, and, well, pretty much any other contender that came after. Now, unfortunately, all good things come to an end, and eventually, Gunpei Yokoi had a very, very pioneering idea. He wanted to create a device that we could call the predecessor to today's virtual reality systems. Now, that device was, of course, the infamous Virtual Boy. Now, according to rumors, and rumors alone, the form that we know of Virtual Boy was not what Gunpei Yokoi had envisioned. He actually wanted to create a far more sophisticated and capable device with a lot more testing. But Nintendo, and especially Hiroshi Yamauchi, were pretty adamant that the machine had to be ready at the time that the president requested. Of course, as we all know, the end product was an absolute nightmare. And some say that the president of Nintendo blamed actually Gunpei Yokoi for the failure, leaving him on that year's video game booth at the ECDS, if I recall correctly, all by himself, with people pretty much, well, ignoring him and his device. That must have been the lowest point in his career, because a little while after that, Gunpei Yokoi quitted Nintendo and went on to work on other projects, the most famous of which was Bandai WonderSwan, a very, very excellent device, another handheld console, and one of the first, although typically Atari Lynx was the first, that left-handed and right-handed people could use. Also, Bandai had access to many IPs and could produce excellent games. Unfortunately, the device did not fare well against his own creation, Game Boy. And because this story unfortunately doesn't have a happy ending, on the 4th of October 1997, as Gunpei Yokoi was riding in his car with his friend, they had a minor accident with a truck. They got off the car to check the damage, and another passing car hit Yokoi and his friend. His friend was mildly injured, but Yokoi unfortunately died a couple of hours later. Now, Gunpei Yokoi has left a lasting mark on the video game industry. He was one of the most important figures, and of course his greatest creation, Game Boy, is one of the most recognizable devices, even for people who are not into gaming. Now, we of the retro gaming community will always remember him as the godfather of video game consoles and one of the greatest inventors in the market. We'll see you again next week with another wonderful history lesson. Bye! Well, my friends, see you next week.